Who the fuck is that guy? Well, his name is Dustin Poirier, and he just knocked you out by TKO. Uh, good number of counter strikes, and yeah, you just fell on the mat, and you were knocked out. And you could even see that you even passed out slightly. Uh, that was my worst, probably my worst Conor McGregor impression. So welcome back, guys, to another edition of the Ojiako podcast, Ojiako show, and yeah, I'm not trying to hate on Conor McGregor or shit on him at all. Back then, just a little drive, just a little joke. That's all. It was just something that was playing my mind, or just in the run up to this event and to making this podcast. So I apologize for that, but I was just trying to be funny. My worst Irish accent. So yeah. So for this fight, UFC 257, the headline main event of Conor McGregor versus Dustin Poirier, which was basically going to be second round. Mostly, it was termed Dustin Poirier versus Conor McGregor 2 because it's on like a rematch. This will be the second time these guys are going head to head in the lightweight division at the UFC since their first encounter at UFC 178 back in 2014. So initially, I actually wanted Dustin Poirier to win the fight, and reason being is just, again, I don't hate anyone. I'm hating on people. It's just that some people just want they're on that sort of like power trip, and you just want them to be humbled. But initially I wanted Dustin Poirier to win, and initially I thought it would actually be Conor McGregor that would win, because I even put like a small poll on my Instagram stories a few days before the fight, no, the day before the fight, and most of my followers, those who voted anyway, they most of them, majority who did vote, said no, Conor McGregor is going to win this fight. And lo and behold, I wake up the following morning, Sunday morning, because the fight happened at 3 a.m. IBW time, which is about our time here will be about, because they're 4 hours ahead of us. No, it was going to happen at, not 3 a.m., 7 a.m. Abu Dhabi time, which means over here it would have been showing about 3 a.m. here in the UK. Yeah, I'm sure of that. Yeah. Yes. But that doesn't matter. So that doesn't matter. Point is, I thought that Conor McGregor would win, but come Sunday morning, and I watched the highlights that I could get a hold of on YouTube, and just out of nowhere, Dustin Poirier just throwing these counter strikes, and my mind just saying, keep going, you're nearly there, and just gets Conor McGregor down the floor, and that's it. He wins by TKO. So I was surprised myself. I was really I was even shocked, so even before I watched the highlight, that I saw just on the some headlines on Google that he had actually won the fight. So first round, the two guys are pacing backwards and forwards, exchanging kicks and strikes, and Dustin's leg kicks really did some damage to Conor McGregor's calves, because even I think, well, not even after the fight, but even before the fight ended, just on the verge of being knocked out, he actually collapsed onto the canvas, and that's what gave Poirier the opportunity to just get down and finish him off with plenty of counter strikes, and he won by a technical knockout. And even after the fight, when after the fight, he did go to congratulate Dustin Poirier on his win, and I respect Conor McGregor for that. Even with all the trash talking he's done in the past, how he's built himself up, and by running his mouth, basically, I really do respect him for such a high performance athlete in mixed martial arts, as he is. He still was humble enough to go and congratulate his opponent, who I'm sure he thought himself it would be an easy win, but of course it wasn't. The tables were turned, and Dustin Poirier was the better fighter. But I still have a lot of respect for Conor McGregor for congratulating his opponent, personally going to his opponent in front. So his security, his entourage, his coaches were there, his corner was there, and he personally said congratulations to Dustin Poirier. Well done. It was an honor to share the octagon with you. Keep it up, and all the best in throughout your career. Yeah, and after the fight, I was gonna say this actually for the towards the end of my podcast. But no, I might as well say this now. But after the fight, because it was such a big event, such a massively anticipated fight by so many people, the bets, mybookie.com, mybookieMMA.com, they were taking, I'm sure they had their favourite one was Conor McGregor. On some podcasts I heard that some former, not to disrespect them, but when they hear this, if they hear this, I know who they are. They said that their odds go, just waving their hand, just goes gesturing with their hands, doing some sort of random movement that, basically they are aware that they may have somehow misled people with the bets and everything, but they're saying it is what it is. It was a choice to put the money down on McGregor, and that's the thing. McGregor was the fight that everybody thought was going to win. I thought was going to win. If I was going to make a bet, I would put my money down on Conor McGregor. It's just because of his record. He's beaten so many people. He's just a high level athlete in the sports of mixed martial arts. I thought I thought he was going to win. I would bet on him winning the fight. But after the fight, there was a lot of people did take to social media, Twitter and Instagram, YouTube, wherever, Facebook, and started making fun of McGregor's loss. I mean, just after he's been knocked out, and he lost by TKO. Dustin Poirier is just celebrating and just reveling in his success. Just the image of McGregor just like lying on his side and his head up in the palm of his hand, just leaning on his elbow. Many people use it to make memes, memes of someone being drunk, someone sleeping, a fight off under a duvet cover or something. Just really, really taking the mickey out of Conor McGregor and his loss. And I think maybe they're doing that because they wanted McGregor basically to just, I'm sure he would have seen all the memes and everything, but would he have cared? No. For someone who's has the sort of money he has and the sort of fame he has in this sport, I doubt he would have cared. But I think many people actually wanted to see him just get a taste of his own medicine, get knocked out and lose in front of so many people. I mean, in the Octagon, in the Etihad Arena, they actually let 2,000 fans, not so many people because of course we've got the pandemic to deal with, and we also have to be careful and adhere to social distancing. They let 2,000 fans, 2,000 people come into the arena and to watch the fight. So of course that loss in front of so many people, it's still, let's say, a significant crowd, but that loss in front of so many people, of course he himself will not feel good about it. But it was just crazy sort of things that was coming out. Some fighters such as Khabib, and Dana White's confirmed that these two do not like each other. Khabib hates Conor, their arch rivals, their arch nemesis. Khabib responded almost immediately after the main event, saying, "This is what happens when you change your team. Leave the sparring partners who made you a champion and sparring with little kids far away from reality." Now, I saw, first of all, when they mentioned this in the certain YouTube channels such as MMA Worlds and MMA News and similar channels who keep a close eye on what's happening in mixed martial arts and the combat sporting world, they said that more than likely Khabib must have been referring to a video that McGregor posted just a few days before the fight of him just playfully sparring with his young son, who's actually his firstborn son. Yeah, and I saw the video, and yeah, I think there's fine, there's nothing to it, but I'm sure that Conor McGregor would have trained for and prepared for this fight properly, but Khabib was just taking the mick and making jibes at McGregor's loss. And there was another tweet he put out saying, "Everybody woke up for you. Why have you gone to sleep?" I mean, whoever screenshotted this picture of McGregor just right after his loss and right after he's been knocked out, just him lying on the canvas floor there, just dazed and out of breath and exhausted after being knocked out by Dustin Poirier, who I'm sure even he himself didn't expect it. I didn't expect it. Many other MMA veterans, both those who are retired and those who are still fighting, but they've been in this game for a long, long time, I'm sure that even they they didn't expect it. So, whoever took that picture, fine. But it's a meme that is making it's surging and blowing up all over social media and the internet. So so many memes of Conor's loss. Many people were betting on Conor to win, even myself. And another thing I'm going to point out is that in the octagon, just right after Poirier's win, of course, at this point the camera crew going to be taking pictures of the athletes just after the fight, whether they've won or lost. In the background of Poirier's picture, I think it was a black and white picture, there was Dana White was standing there, and he didn't look happy at all. I'm sure he's happy for Dustin's win, but I'm sure that I'm sure that maybe he and Conor had something planned after this fight. Maybe if Conor had won this fight, he would have been scheduled to fight someone else. I think is it Khabib was mentioned? I don't know, but I think more than likely maybe something else been planned after this fight. Hopefully Conor had won, but that wasn't the case, because the expression on Dana White's face, really, for me, it did arouse some questions as to what else had been going on behind the scenes. But now credit to Dustin Poirier for winning that fight. He surprised everybody, and he did say that no, he didn't say he was a professional boxer, but he did say, I think in tweets after the fight, he did say that he called himself the champion, the uncrowned champ. Now, I did post a story in my Insta feed saying that just congratulating him, saying that he won. Excuse me. He won the fight, and as many mixed martial arts fans do, they'll post something in their stories just to show the result of a match. I mean, I do that just to congratulate the other person who the fighter that's won, whether I like them or not, but credit to where it's due. And I said, yeah, he's a champ. And then my friend Charlie texted me saying, is he the champion though? And I thought, okay, this is a sport that I really still have a lot of learning to do and a lot of homework to do, before I do post about certain things in my Instagram and on my Facebook, and even on here on YouTube, if you're watching this on YouTube, and in my podcasts. So I thought I did go back and do some research, and but the thing is, Poirier called himself the champion. So maybe I'm right, maybe Charlie's wrong, maybe Charlie's right, maybe I'm wrong, But on to the next fight, which was Michael Chandler versus Dan Hooker in the lightweight division. Now, this was Michael Chandler's highly anticipated, as I heard, debut into the UFC, and of course he won by let's get this up on the internet. Now, he won by likewise Dustin Poirier when he was fighting McGregor in the main event. He won by technical knockout also. So, and I can even remember this like it was yesterday. In the highlights, in the highlight that I managed to see. So, just towards the end there, it was kind of stated and even pointed out by one of the commentators. I can't remember who it was, but they said that it looks like this wasn't one of the commentators. Actually, Dana White in the post press conference. He said that Dan Hooker did look like he froze just for like a millisecond. And I went back to watch the clip of the fight again. And yeah, it did look that way, just like that. And I think Chandler just seized the opportunity, just moving for the kill, and just there was just a single strike that just knocks down Hooker right down to the canvas, and Chandler just finished him off with some counter strikes, and he won by a TKO. And that for him, that is really good. So he starts off strongly in his career in the UFC, and I was actually quite surprised. His name Chandler, even before he started in the UFC, I always thought he was in the UFC, but surprise, when I went to see some homework on this guy, he'd actually been in Bellator, in the time leading up to this moment that he or rather leading up to the end of last year, 2020, whereby he signed a contract to join the UFC. And I can't remember off the top of my head, but there was a fight that he was supposed to he was going to be like a standby opponent if one of the other guys for some reason couldn't fight in the event, but that didn't happen. So this really was his opportunity to make a debut and shine, and that's exactly what he did. And it was one of those fights that it was over before it had even really started. I think, in the first round it just lasted 2.5 minutes, 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and he won by TKO. Just this microphone my way a little bit. And after the fight, he made a little speech. This is the greatest moment in my professional life. Conor McGregor, surprise, surprise. There's a new king in the lightweight division. Dustin Poirier, your time is coming. And Khabib, if you ever do see fit to grace us with your presence in the UFC octagon in your quest for a new record of 30-0, because people are making rumours, they're talking this, but you just can't get a clear, concrete answer as to whether Khabib is going to be coming back to the sport, even if it's just for one more match to, because his father wanted him to have a record of at least 30-0 before retiring, but currently standing at 29-0. You got to beat somebody, so beat me if you can. God bless. See you at the top. No. I'll say that now. Actually, I was going to save it for the end of my podcast. Khabib, I think Dana White was in a conversation with Khabib, and he said at the press conference for UFC 257 after the fight that he's been speaking to Khabib, and Khabib said to him and asked him the question, "What am I coming back for? All the guys that potentially I could fight, there are so many levels beneath me. I'm so many levels above them. What would be the point of me fighting them? I've beaten the best, those who are one of the highest ranking fighters in my weight division in the sport. Me coming back to fight these guys would just be pointless." Although some people have said that, and this is something that's pointed out at, is it UFC 252? No, it probably wasn't, but just so I don't get it wrong, it was when Khabib fought Justin Gaethje just towards the end of last year, towards the end of 2020. And I was having this discussion with Charlie, and he said that, Khabib's record is rather padded, and in the sport, padded basically means you've been given opponents who basically were easy to fight, and it's expected that you'll beat them. I hope I'm getting that terminology right. If I'm not, please correct me in the comment section. And Charlie, if I'm getting this wrong, I apologise. Correct me in the comment section as well if you're going to be watching this on YouTube. But now, congratulations to Michael Chandler for starting out really, really strongly in the UFC. And he's called out some fighters, Conor McGregor, and I think in my last podcast I did mention that he called out Nate Diaz, that he would slam him on his head. He's just looks skinny fat at the moment. He's out of shape. He's not been training for a long while. Now the next fight was the women's the women's flyweight division, which was Joanna Caldwell versus Jessica Eye. Now, in my last podcast, probably the podcast before that, I did say that I've got to stop this habit of just watching highlights. If I watch the actual fight, then really I can actually get a better understanding of what happened in the event. And it's something which I still haven't done, so I apologise, guys. But in this round, just to cut the long story short, the win did go to Jessica Eye, and she won by unanimous decision. From what I could see, the fight did start strong. Both fighters did start strongly, exchanging strikes and leg kicks. They didn't waste any time at all in closing the gap in between themselves. And Jessica Eye was the better fighter. She won by unanimous decision. I've got to make a habit, of stop watching the highlights and just get that UFC app that lets you actually watch the fights. Excuse me. I just wet my throat a little bit. Now, next up was the Mahmoud Muradov versus Andrew Sanchez, the middleweight division for the men. So, yeah, this fight, Muradov, I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. Muradov won by TKO, by flying knee and punches. I did notice that on several occasions he managed to leap into the air and just get a knee to his opponent's face. So, there was plenty of was it? Yeah, Muradov was really fighting quite aggressively, which, okay, that's good. You want to dish out as many strikes, leg kicks and elbows and take down as much as you can to your opponent to win as many points as you can. So, you make sure that basically you make sure that you win. There's a better chance of you winning the fight. And, well, from what I could see, the fight started strongly. Muradov threw a couple of kicks. Sanchez tried to get him into a takedown, but Muradov was skillful and talented enough to get out of that. Again, Muradov was really fighting aggressively, and each time he moved in was really dishing out some really, really heavy strikes. And towards the end of round one, I did catch one of the knees, high knees that Muradov did manage to throw at Sanchez's head. Second round, both fighters didn't waste any time, get into the fight, and I did see this. It had to be paused shortly after the round 2 began because Muradov was excuse me, Muradov was hit in the groin by his opponent. But yeah, I mean, this is just based on the highlight. I really need to make sure that I see the actual fights for these events in the future. But for that fight, Muradov won by TKO, flying knee and plenty of punches. So the next fight after that was Marina Rodriguez versus Amanda Ribas. Which was the women's strawweight division. Now Ribas won the fight by TKO. She managed to land enough elbows and punches, and that really ended in the second round. If I'm understanding the main card correct, I'm just looking at Wikipedia as I'm reading through my notes. I kick myself for this every single time. Just no way. The highlights just weren't good enough. So all I can tell you is that Rodriguez was a better fighter. She won by TKO. Enough elbows and punches to land a win. Next up, now move to the preliminary cards. I really hope I pronounce his name correctly. But this is the catchweight division. Sarukyan versus Matt Frevola. Couldn't see much in this one. It was just a highlight that was badly done. But Tsarukyan, Sarukyan. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. If I'm not, guys, please correct me in the comment section down below. Let me know. If you're watching this on YouTube, now he won by unanimous decision. I couldn't watch the whole fight, but from the clips that I caught, he did issue. His fighting was really, really aggressive. There was plenty of takedowns, a lot of clinches, strikes and kicks. Just fighting like, I'm not going to use the word animal because it's quite insulting to the fighters because they are human beings as well. So I still have that respect for them for doing a sport that I love to watch, but I wouldn't necessarily like to do. So I'll never use the term animal when it's describing a combat sports, a fighter, whether it's MMA, boxing, or judo, whatever it is. But he was fighting like a warrior. Plenty of takedowns, clinches, strikes and kicks, and not giving his opponent Frevola an easy time at all. And so he won the fight by unanimous decision. And I also point out that this guy has his record 18 fights, and he's only had 2 losses. So altogether 16 wins plus this one. I'm assuming will make it 17. Just cross check that. I'm looking at the wrong person. Just a minute, guys. Yeah, absolutely, yeah. 18 fights in total and 16 wins. So that's really, really impressive. And this guy's only 24 years old, so still won't call him a freshman, but he's still very young. So still a lot of fights ahead of him. Hopefully, if there's no injuries or anything like that permanently hurts him or permanently disables him, but still has a lot of time to improve and to expand his record. 16 wins. That's really, really good. Only 2 losses. Very, very, very impressive. With that, in that fight, I can see why he. I've not watched all his fights, but in that fight, I'm assuming still I regard myself as a novice. I still have plenty of things to learn in this sport. I mean, today I was just learning and having a conversation with Charlie and watching some YouTube videos about how bets are placed and how when there's going to be a fight, out of the 2 fighters, which is a particular fighter that's the favourite to win, and which of the 2 fighters is not the favourite to win. So I was just embarrassingly enough, I was just learning that today. But credit to this guy for winning like he did. And back to my point, I just lose my train of thought there. Looking at this fight and how he fought, I can see why he has such a fantastic record of more wins than losses. Just 2 losses out of an 18 fight record of 18 fights. Now that is really, really impressive. And again, his age, he's only 24, so he's still a really young man. So a lot of time to, if you could say, improve and grow his record. So after that was the middleweight for the men, middleweight division, Brad Tavares versus Antonio Carlos Jr. Now Tavares won this by unanimous decision. Excuse, my mouth just keeps getting dry. So Tavares won this fight by unanimous decision. At the beginning of round 1, both guys got straight into it. No playing around or anything. When I say get straight or right into it, I mean both fighters just waste no time in throwing strikes or kicks. Of course, they're going to try and do so appropriately, just by being smart. In this sport, you have to make sure that you you issue as much of an attack as much as possible, whilst avoiding any strikes or kicks as much as possible yourself, minimizing the attack on you whilst maximizing the attack on your opponent. Unlike what I saw in one of the previous events with one of the fighters, and I'm surprised I still remember her name, Sarah Moras, the Canadian MMA fighter, who, when she was fighting, is it the Brazilian fighter? I think she's a Brazilian. I've forgotten her name. Was it Vanessa? She basically was just circling the octagon there and was issuing strikes here and there, but she wasn't doing much. And even I could tell that she hasn't done herself any favors yet, and she's not looking good at all, and she's not gonna win. I'm not gonna ramble on too much because I don't know that much, but just by looking at it as a layman to this sport as a novice, you can tell that she basically was not the better fighter in this competition. And a YouTuber also had no issue, no qualms, wasted no time in basically roasting her in his video that she looks like a joke in that octagon. It just looks absolutely ridiculous. But back to Tavares versus Carlos Jr. for UFC 257. Tavares won by unanimous decision. Tavares was the better fighter, and Tavares did get caught in. Jr. issued the first clinch, which Tavares got caught in, but Tavares used his legs to get out of it, and God, oh shit, this is why I need to download that app, because watching the highlights for a sport that I really do enjoy watching isn't really helpful. Is not helpful at all when making these podcasts at all. So yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna waste time on this because I'm gonna sound stupid when I go run through the my 2 cents, my 2 pence of this fight. Tavares won by a unanimous decision in this fight. Okay, so sorry guys, this is another one that the highlights just wasn't enough. It was the women's bantamweight division, Juliana Pena versus Sarah McMahon. Just to give you a brief summary, Pena did win by submission, by a rear naked choke. Excuse me. And yeah, watching the fight, she did. She looks like I could tell that she was going to win. So round one, both fighters started strongly, and at that point, of course, I'll admit I didn't know who was going to win, but that's just the first round. McMahon got the first takedown in, but Pena was managed to get out of that, and she ended up in a clinch from McMahon. I'm not going to waste any time on running through that because I'm making this podcast just sound horrible. But yeah, Pena won by submission, rear naked choke. Now, after that was Marcin Prach. This is the men's light heavyweight division. Marcin Pracino. Was it? Marcin Pracino versus Khalil Rountree Jr. So I'll jump straight to the end. Just tell you right now, it was Pracino who won by unanimous decision. Now, this is a particular fight that I was watching, and I'll admit, when I was watching it at first, I was thinking, okay, both fighters seem to like, they're good, fine. But as I'm watching the fight, am I really finding this fight entertaining? Am I enjoying it? I was thinking, no, it's a bit boring. Both guys are like moving forward, they're pacing forwards and backwards, just launching a strike here, and the other guys doing the same thing. And we're like, no one's really doing anything. No one's really, launching even a knee or any takedowns or anything like that. Although I do know that in this sport, there's a lot more. I'm mainly watching the sport from the outside, but in reality, if you're the fighter, excuse me, if you're the fighter, you turn around and tell a novice like myself, a layman, an outsider, and there's a lot more that goes into the sport that meets the other than what the people, what the fans, and what the crowd is seeing as they're watching the fight take place. But at first, I did find it, kind of boring to watch, and it wasn't entertaining. I was thinking, someone do something more than just pacing forward and backwards and just trying to land a strike, a heavy strike, or a leg kick, or a head kick, or anything like that. Someone just do something more, counter strikes even, try and do a takedown, a clinch. But that didn't happen. I was thinking, as the fight wore on, that this fight is going to be a hard one to judge because I don't know who the judges think or believe won this fight. Of course, someone else like my friend Charlie or another fan who's been watching this sport for many years, much longer than I have, who has been training the sport as a hobby, or if they are an athlete and if they are an athlete who competes and not just trains but also competes officially on the public stage, on the public platform, they might give a completely and totally different opinion to me, a different answer to me, that they actually did find it entertaining and they did understand why the two guys are fighting the way they did, that actually the two guys, both sides, being smart about how they fought. Again, it goes back to the point that I made before, in this sport, and it's like what I saw with Wonderboy Thompson in his fight. I think it was a UFC Vegas 17 or 19, but I think it was the last UFC event of the year 2020 for the Christmas holidays. Wonderboy Thompson, Stephen Thompson, in that fight, I can't remember the opponent's name, but what I do remember the fight for is that Thompson managed to move a lot around the octagon, and he was doing it with such precision and agility, and he's being very clever about it, that he managed to land to dish out as much damage as he could possibly do so to his opponent, whilst avoiding a lot of damage, minimizing the damage and the attacks being aimed towards him. So, that sort of thinking could also be the thinking that these two guys can be using as well. So as much as I found it boring, maybe in their eyes they're being smart about it. But for me, as a novice who still has a lot more to learn, I did find it boring, and I thought that it would be a hard fight to judge, especially at the beginning of the fight. But Marcin did win that fight by unanimous decision. Yeah, and reason. Make sure I'm looking at the right thing here. Yeah, unanimous decision. It's the whole 3 rounds. Okay, so next up was Movsar Evlos versus Nick Lentz, the men's catchweight division. Now, Nick Lentz, I think his name sounded familiar, but the fight himself I didn't recognize, but his name did ring a bell. Now his opponent, who was I think, let me just cross check this. Now this is one of the things you need a producer for. Yeah, Movsar Evloev. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Again, if you're watching this on YouTube, please forgive me. Leave a correction for me in the comment section down below. I'll be very, very grateful. Yeah, DC did point this out. It was either DC, one of the commentators, sitting there by the cage commentating the fight, that Evloev, is still very young. He was 10 years Lentz's junior. Lentz is 36, but this guy Evloev is 26 years old, and are still regarded to be very young in the sports of mixed martial arts. And the commentator points out that he looks very calm as they were grappling there on the floor, that he didn't look worried at all, or panicky, that, God, how do I get out of this grapple, how do I get out of this leg lock or triangle or his clinch. He did handle the situation well, because he won by split decision. And this guy's record, Evloev, I'm very impressed. Okay, he's really just starting out. 14 fights, 14 wins, not a single loss at all. Just looking at his record here on Wiki, just a one column of straight sea of green. So he's someone who's I'm not sure when he started, but I think he started in 2014. So he's been fighting for a while, but he has a really good fight record. He's won every single fight that's that he's been part of. Every single opponent he has, I'm going to say in layman's terms, he's knocked out or beaten them by submission. So well done to him. And again, credit to him. He's still a very young fighter. So like the commentator said during the fight, he's still very young, and well done to him for handling the situation really well. Didn't panic. He just used his smarts and his fighting skills, grappling skills, ground game to get out of those situations, and he won. So the final fight was Amir Albazi versus Zhalgas Zhumagulov, the men's flyweight division. Now Amir won this fight by unanimous decision, and I can't remember how did it go. Well, the first round started quite strongly. Both guys were really going after it, really getting into it. And Amir got Zhalgas in a clinch, but Zhalgas managed to get out of it. But then Zhalgas went in there for a proper takedown. Then he ran at his opponent and just got him down to the ground. And in round 2, again, guys, I'm sorry, this is from a highlight. I kick myself for this because it just doesn't do myself any justice, because I'm still learning about the sport. And also, I'm going to be honest, it's not good for not good content wise for my podcasts, because I'm trying to be as detailed as I can, trying to be as informative and as educational as I can be when I'm talking about these fast events I do enjoy watching. So round 2, Zhalgas gets another takedown in, but Amir managed to cleverly, using his smarts and sense and his skills, go on his back. And in the replay, as in from what I could see in the clip, Amir did get some really, really heavy clean shots in just to his opponent's head. So, I guess all of that, the clinches, even though it was caught in a clinch and a takedown, he used his smarts to get out of that quite easily to just reposition himself to a position whereby he'd have the advantage in the upper hand over his opponent, and so he won by unanimous decision. So, in other things that's been happening in the sport, like I said before at the beginning of the show, many people were actually betting and banking on Conor beating Dustin at the UFC 257, but a lot of people were in shock. A lot of people were just eating their words, and I said this to Charlie. Because I put out just like a small poll in a story, just a few days, just not a few days, but Saturday afternoon, I was making my way to work, and I put out just like a voting poll over a post of the two guys, a promotional UFC 257 poster, and I said, will Dustin Poirier beat Conor McGregor? 3 people said no, 2 people said yes. To be honest, even though I did want Dustin to win this fight, I really did, and he won the fight, so I'm personally happy for that, really happy for him. I wanted Dustin to win the fight, but something inside me, I knew at the bottom of my heart that my gut instinct was telling me that no, Conor McGregor will go in there and do what Conor McGregor does best. He will do what Conor McGregor is known for, and he will win. But unfortunately, that didn't happen, and Dustin Poirier really surprised everybody. He really shocked the mixed martial arts community. But even after that, still stayed humble and respectful. So did Conor McGregor, even after his loss, because I'm sure he himself personally wanted to win. In this sport, naturally everybody wants to win, but that's never going to happen all the time. You can't win all the time. You're gonna. So I don't know what's wrong with me. You're gonna have your highs, you're gonna have your lows. It's just a fact of life, So a lot of people in the mixed martial arts community reacted to Dustin's win. Now Charles Oliveira has come out and said that he wants a title shot between himself and Dustin. Tony Ferguson sent out a tweet calling out Dustin, said, "You dodged me, kid. See you soon, champ." Still congratulating him on his win, but he still wants a fight with Dustin Poirier. Bilal Muhammad did also post a video on, I think, Instagram's kind of saying that the reason why Conor lost is that Conor was just too obsessed and concentrating more on proving that he is the best boxer in the UFC. Now, I'm not sure if Conor McGregor has ever said that. Probably he has. Maybe I missed it somewhere. Maybe I saw it today and it probably just went over my head. If he has and I'm wrong, please say so in the comment section below if you're watching this on YouTube. But Bilal Muhammad said that really Conor McGregor was focusing too much on proving that he's the best boxer in the UFC. And yeah, that point I was making before, I was saying that basically is that in relation to what Max Holloway said after his win at the last UFC event. No, not the one before that one, which has gone over my head again. That Max Holloway, just as he was tearing his opponent to pieces there in a bloody mess in the octagon, one of the commentators said something, and Holloway turned around and said, the freshman came out here to play. Yeah, and the freshman's playing all right. He came out here and he's a sort of freshman that will fight you and take your girlfriend. So I'm wondering, is it in relation to that? Because I think there was some speculation, rumors that Max Holloway's being the opponent. Is he worthy of a fight with Conor McGregor? But I have to say that I've kind of forgotten about what happened at that event, what was said. But no, back to UFC 257. This guy's come out saying that McGregor lost because it was just too too focused on proving that he's the best boxer in the UFC, that really he should have gone in there and he should have done what mixed martial arts fighter does to win the fight. Just attacks with the, what was he said something about the shoulder. That basically, I'm not going to waffle on too much. He should have gone in there and just done what a mixed martial arts fighter should do to win any fight, to just beat any opponent that's been put in front of them. So in other news, Dana has been talking to Khabib, and again, this goes back to the point that I made earlier at the beginning of this episode, that Khabib has told him they're having talks about having Khabib come back, I think even just for one last fight. I'm on so many levels above these guys. I beat these guys, so he's made it clear that he's not coming back. There's he's not coming back, and this is the reason why. So and it's a reason that makes sense. Being all these guys, you've been all these guys, and that you're better than they are. So you coming back there, is it really worth your time and energy? Especially if you don't want to do it anymore, you can't force him. So he has that right. Excuse me, guys. That's like the third or fourth time I had to belch there. And this is the one that really, I'm sure, pissed everybody off. There was a UFC fighter known as Otman Azata, or Azata, Azaitar. Now, what happened with him is that basically him and his team, if you don't know, I'm sure most people know who are watching this, and as a novice, it's basically me if I don't know. But at Abu Dhabi, they've got these bubbles basically for people who have been, let's say, living in the same environment, basically to help reduce the spread of this COVID-19 and to also aid the social distancing. Now, what happened is that this guy, just hours before a big event, UFC 257, because the two main events are happening with Chandler, Hooker, Mcgregor and Poirier, this big event that he was should have been a part of, him and his team cut off their wristbands and gave it to someone who wasn't part of their bubbles, basically to cut the long story short, to give them access to gain entry to the fight event. And I think after that, I think Dana made the decision just to cut the guy basically, and it did make sense. Even Charlie agrees. That's not just the fact that you let someone in who should have been in there, but you really are posing a big risk, not just to yourself and to your team, but also to the other people there, the other athletes that you're going to be competing against, even those maybe who are in the same team as you. They could also pick up the virus, and if they test positive, well, before you know it, all of the UFC staff are all sick, and before you know it, UFC 257 is cancelled. And basically, from what I've been seeing, Dana White does like hosting, and he does like hosting fights in Abu Dhabi, so he likes the way things are run there. Basically, it's nice, and I think it's even better than how things are done back home in the US. He's even said that this is now the fight capital of the world. So I mean, even the people who are running Abu Dhabi, the actual owners of the Etihad Arena, they could turn around and say, well, so and so, blah blah blah. After this, which is just outrageous, we just don't want to host these events anymore, because they have to think of, at the Etihad Arena, the Abu Dhabi staff also have their own team who are running the place. They also have to think of them as well, that if they get sick, then they're also in trouble as well. So it was a really, really stupid move by this guy. What did I write down? In order to get entry to the event, very, very, very foolish move, and it's really affected his career. I'm not sure if any other fighting organizations, Bellator, One Championship, Bare Knuckle Fighting, if they are gonna take him on. I don't know what he's gonna do. No one knows what he's gonna do, but it's weird and it's stupid. Just mere hours before a massive event that you're going to be a part of, you trained and prepared, you've cut weight, you've made weight. You've been through all the things that a fighter is supposed to go through to just to prepare yourself to win this event. You just go mess up like this. I mean, I think calling him foolish doesn't even come close, really. I think it's still being too lenient to this guy, because he really, really has messed himself up. But guys, I think I'll wrap things up there. Really, hopefully my next podcast will be better than this one. By then I will have downloaded the app and the UFC app and will watch these fights a lot more closely instead of just going off the highlights, because that's not useful at all. You can, so yeah, if you watch the video, if you've watched the video and listened to the podcast this far, thank you very much. Thumbs up if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see that. You can follow me on Instagram. My name's Ojiako1. On Facebook and Twitter, my name's Ojiako. And podcasts are available on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Player FM. I'm still trying to get the iTunes, the Apple Podcasts on iTunes sorted out. That's a lot trickier than it seems. Some silly errors are popping up, so I've got to try and get that sorted out. But guys, if you did enjoy this podcast, please don't forget to leave a like on YouTube, and don't forget to subscribe if you enjoy the podcast and enjoy my other content as well. Thanks. Okay, so thanks again for watching the podcast we're watching on YouTube, and for listening to the podcast we're listening to this on Spotify and other similar platforms. So yeah, look, I want to apologize for a lot of the mumbling of my words and jumbling of my words in the podcast. There was one point in the podcast there but it almost sounded like my tongue had become tied and twisted in my mouth. 3 times I tried to say the word, but I couldn't. I'll be honest with you, this is now going to be my 6th podcast, episode number 6, and by now I would have thought, well, most people would have thought, including myself, that I shouldn't be nervous anymore, but truth is I still am, and I was really nervous in making this episode, because even though people are watching me now as I'm making this podcast, I do know that when I upload it to the internet, to platforms such as YouTube, which you can see here, and to Spotify, Soundcloud, Stitcher, Player FM, Google Podcasts, a lot of people are going to be watching and listening. So when I'm making these podcasts, making these shows, I always have that in mind. So I always want to make sure that the quality of the content and of the video is the best it can be, because I do want to grow this podcast as best I can, do it as not as fast as possible as such, but just I like watching the sport, mixed martial arts and other combat sports such as boxing, and I enjoy watching it, I enjoy learning about it. It's a sport that since I for the first time when I took kickboxing classes last year in 2020, just suddenly I just want to hit the pad. It feels like this is a very therapeutic way of getting rid of all the anger and frustration inside you, and I thought, wow, it's also fun to watch this as well. So as I'm making this podcast, I'm also learning learning about the sport, and also nervousness. It's something which I have to just learn to let go of. Other YouTubers have also contacted me, and not contacted, but they've commented on my content, and they said that I've made over 100 videos, and even when I make a new video, I still feel very nervous and very self-conscious. Sorry, just had to do a notification on the phone there. So I assume I'm not the only one. So as time goes on, I'll be getting better and better at it, and hopefully this thing of jumbling words will become a thing of the past. Making these videos, these podcasts, these shows will become second nature. Just want to say sorry about that, and thanks again for watching and listening if you've listened and watched this far.